My name is Edoardo Liberati. I'm a guitar player from Italy. I'm also a teacher and a composer. And I live in Rome. It's the city where I grew up, and it's the city where I'm working as a musician mostly and doing my things, my activities. Improvisation is really important for me, and it's really important in jazz in general, because it's a music which is based on mostly on improvisation. And improvisation it's magical. It's something you need to practice daily and deeply, and you have to give improvisation a great space in your music, which is something not really easy, especially when you are composing, because sometimes I was tending to write a lot and decide too much, so that improvisation was getting a really little space in my music, which is something I'm really trying to avoid and do different now. I'm always trying to write music with the goal of having certain spaces where I can improvise, and along with the musicians I'm playing with, or maybe as a solo player. So yeah, that's basically something really important in this way. I would say that my major melodic influences come from several jazz players which I really liked and which I tried to study as much as possible. I would say Dexter Gordon for me was a really big influence in the practice and playing traditional music, traditional jazz music. So that's really a person which was really important for me, melodically speaking. Chet Baker, of course, because he's a master of melodies. His lines are like so incredible, so musical, so natural. And I would say also Pat Metheny, of course, because he was my first hero, I would say, in jazz music, my first guitar hero. And his compositions and his way of thinking music and thinking melodies, giving melodies a major spot in the music. It's really, really important for me. I would say also John Scofield, Brad Meldau, Bill Evans, and of course Miles Davis, John Coltrane. All these guys were really important. So I think that's pretty much my influences. I would say that the most meaningful encounters in music were my first teachers in jazz, because they really helped me to understand what I really wanted to do, and they really put me on a track of discipline, of practice and study and passion about this music. I would mention my first teacher, which was Umberto Fiorentino, which is a great Italian guitarist, teacher, and also composer. Other than teachers, I would of course mention all the great musicians I had workshops with. So I had workshops with Jonathan Kreisberg, which was also really meaningful for me. Peter Bernstein, also Gilad Dexelman was a great encounter for me because he told me some things which really stuck in my mind. Basically, that's about it. I would say that traditional harmonies, harmonies which derive from traditional jazz and traditional songs, are of course really important for me, because these harmonies help me to understand the music in general and the connection between chords and chord progressions, basically. Other than this, which I think is really fundamental for a jazz musician, in order to tell his story, if he wants to write original music and play other things than only jazz standards, it was really important for me to transcribe music by ear and transcribe songs by more contemporary musicians, which made a synthesis also of traditional stuff and their kind of stuff. I would mention Kurt Rosenwinkel songs, which were really important for me, really creative, harmonically speaking. Buck Turner also, Brad Meldau. All these artists made their own version of harmony, their own way of thinking about harmony, applying maybe traditional harmonies with more unusual movements and chord progressions. If I have to choose three albums, I would say that the first one is Letter from Home by Pat Metheny, which I consider the first album with which I started to listen to jazz and practice jazz and love this kind of music, even though it's not really a jazz album in the sense that there are no standards in it. I would say that it's really blending with world music, because Pat Metheny was always a great fan of Brazilian music and world music in general. So there are really a lot of influences in this album, but it really struck me, it really got my attention, and I will forever listen to this album with great pleasure. Talking about guitar, I would say that East Coast Love Affair by Kurt Rosenwinkel was really important, because it basically helped me to start a new way, or at least try to develop a new way of playing guitar, and I think is one of the most important albums of the last 20 or 30 years, because it really, I think, changed the way of jazz guitar. That was, I think, really important, and it was really important for me as well. Talking about more traditional records, I would mention Go by Dexter Gordon, which is a great record. Dexter Gordon was playing incredible, probably at his best. I studied a lot on this record. I transcribed some solos by him, some songs, and it's a record which I also will forever listen with great pleasure. I would say that for a musician, or in general for an artist, you cannot avoid having influences and studying and practicing other people's work. If you're a painter, you have to study technical ways of painting which derive from older painters, and then you make your own synthesis. It's the same thing in music, I would say. So it's really important to study other people, try to copy other people, but not copy them when you have to tell your own story, which is something not easy, of course. Try to tell your idea and believe in yourself, in what you do and what you play and what you think. I think for me, composing was really something that brought me to a different direction, put me on a different track. And from that moment on, from when I started composing, I really thought, okay, I want to play original music. I want to also play jazz standards, jazz music, continue practicing and loving this music. But I want to write my own songs, play my own songs, write my own melodies, sing my own songs in a way. So I would say that composition really helped me to develop my idea and bring my idea to the audience. there were moments where I was really doubting about what I was doing, and I was posing myself the question, are you good at it? Are you doing the best you can? Is this what you really want to do? There were, I would say, only 2 moments in my life where I had these really bad feelings about music. And I have to say that these moments came from extreme stress and tiredness. I was really weary. And I really needed to take some time off from music. And for myself, I didn't play guitar for sometimes even 2 or 3 months or 4 months sometimes. I just wanted to reset myself, refresh myself, and I have to say that these moments were really, really important for me, because in this time I had to think about myself. I had to consider what I was doing, and they really helped me, actually. I overcame these moments simply because I had some work to do, I had some concerts to do, and I didn't play for months. So when I started to play again, I was really rusty, and I was like, okay, this is not possible. I have to get myself in shape again. And once the concerts were done, it was easier. It was easy. I started to practice again, play again, and it was like a second start or a third start. It was a refreshment, I would say. Talking about rhythmical influences, I would say that all the musicians I mentioned previously are drummers by themselves. They are so rhythmical in their way of playing the instrument that they are basically drummers. They are spelling the rhythm in a clear way, in an interesting way, in a fresh way, in their solos and in their improvisation. Dexter Gordon is really great in this. Chet Baker as well. They are really, I already said that, but they are really drummers for me. So basically all the musicians I mentioned are great rhythmical influences. So yeah, I repeat myself, but it's never enough. Dexter Gordon, Chet Baker, and Scofield. Scofield is a great rhythmical player, you know. And there are some other musicians I mentioned which they intend music and improvisation, rhythmically speaking, in a different way, maybe more subtle, more delicate, more. Every musician has his own flow. Kurt Rosenwinkel, for instance, has his really own flow, unique, which is really different from all the other musicians I mentioned, and in general, you know. So it's a broad topic. There are many standards which I think had a great impact on me. I remember when I was going to jam sessions, and there was this one time when I went to a session that there was a guitarist that was playing a standard, which is Joy Spring by Clifford Brown. I was so blown away with this melody, with this song in general, which is basically a bebop song. That after the session, I asked the guy, okay, what's the name of this song? He told me Joy Spring, and then I went back home and immediately started playing that song. I mean, transcribing the song and studying that. And I remember I played this song for so long. So that was really, I would say, an important standard for me. There are many others, all the songs. So My Ideal, it's a song I really like. Down a Dream. All the more modern songs by Shorter, by Joe Anderson. I really like Punjab by Joe Anderson. It's not a really famous tune actually by him. I like Chick Corea songs a lot. Windows, for instance, is one of my favorite. Stardust is a song which I really like. It's a Broadway song by Carmichael. It's a great song, so interesting. The harmony is so beautiful. The lyrics are beautiful. The melody is incredible. So I would say Stardust as well. And basically that's about it. as I said previously, working on your ear, it's always the most important thing. Learning standards by heart and transcribing standards, it's really important. And singers really taught me a lot, because when there is a standard, I hear a standard that I like, I always go to almost the same musicians, which I start from them, you know, studying these songs. So I always look for a Frank Sinatra version, Sarah Vaughan, singers, Chet Baker, always, because I like musicians which played standards and played melodies really clearly, of course, always making an interpretation, their own way and their own interpretation of the melody. But I like clarity. I like to hear the melody almost as it was written by the composer. So I always try to go back to the source of the standard. So I would say singers, and in general clear instrumentalists, as I said, Chet Baker. And once you study the standard and you know it by heart, that from that moment on you really have to start working on that, because you have to practice the improvisation on the song, from a guitar point of view, the solo playing, the arrangement maybe of the song in general. And what really helps is to transpose the song to other keys. And you, at a certain point when you do this exercise, you become much more fluent and much faster in thinking about changes. You don't think about C minor, F7, B flat anymore. You think about 2, 5, 1, 3, 6, 5 that goes to the 4th degree, and so forth. So you become faster, and you basically think about degrees, because standards are basically made of degrees in the tonality, in the key. So I would say that's more or less the way I practiced standard, and still how I practiced them. I would say that the only way to play this music, or at least try to play this music, is to transcribe. There is no other way. Transcribing songs, transcribing solos, transcribing everything you can is the only way. Play by heart, it's really important. Avoiding the eye reel, avoiding the lead sheet, the reading something, you know. Just play by heart, memorize things, use your ear, improve your ear. So transcription, basically, transcribing does all these things. So it's really, really important. And I transcribed a lot in my years. Now I have a little less time to do that. It really takes time. You need to keep on working on a solo, which is maybe really complex, you know, so you need to work on technical things, solve problems. And then little by little, now for instance I'm transcribing a solo by Cannonball Adderley on I Remember You, so a really traditional solo, you know, in a way. But I also transcribed Mettini solos, Rosenwinkel solos, really hard, really hard, and I remember this practice with great pleasure. I have great memories of transcribing, you know. And the first part of transcribing was only by heart and by ear, but then at a certain point I started to write down all these solos on paper, and also in the music notation software. That also really helped me, because when you put something on paper, which you already transcribed and basically you know by heart, you see where the musician is placing the notes, what he's doing on a chord, you know, and you can also take notes and okay, he's doing that, he's playing this triad over this chord, okay, this phrase, this melodic cell starts on the upbeat, you know, starts on the beat, it ends there, you know, it starts there, and there are things really, which I think they are really important because they improve also your rhythmic way of thinking music, and more straightforward related to the beat, to the beats, and to the rhythmic pattern in general. I have to say that improvisation and composition are two basically train tracks which are going straight, and they always match each other, you know. In my life, when the songs I composed, as I probably previously mentioned, composition was always really fixed for me in a way. So if you take percentages, if you have a percentage, maybe you have 80% of written music in that song, and then you have 20% of improvisation. As I said, I'm trying to kind of reverse these things and have more improvisation in my music. I'm not saying that I don't know, there are really few written parts, because I still tend to write a lot, and but I'm trying to not decide too much in the song, not write too much, and always leave space to improvisation. It's not easy when you're composing, as it also, I think, depends on the person who you are, basically, on your character, on your way of thinking about music. Sometimes I'm improvising something and then I get the idea of a composition, for instance. Sometimes there are compositions which are super fast to write. Maybe you write a song in 1 hour, in 2 hours. Sometimes there are songs which you cannot end, you cannot finish. You always have to face these moments. Of course, when you write a song and it's fast, it's always nice because it's very smooth, you know. But sometimes you have a nice song, maybe you're starting to write a nice song and you cannot finish it. So try to maybe improvise something, and then by improvising you refresh, you reset that kind of song, and maybe that idea can pop up and can help you finish the tune if you want to do that. Besides jazz, I really like rock and pop, and I still listen to these genres with great curiosity. Sometimes I just want to listen to a rock album or a folk album or a pop album. I really like rock bands. Recently, I'm listening to Porcupine Tree, for instance, which I never listened in my life. I really like them. I discovered Jeff Buckley. I never knew this guy. I really like him. Nick Drake. I recently discovered Nick Drake. It's really interesting music. I like Red Hot Chili Peppers. I like Pink Floyd. I like all these rock bands. I like folk. I like Simon & Garfunkel, for instance. I like folk music. And sometimes I'm studying these songs, playing these songs, and I see if I can use some of them. For instance, in my latest record, I've done an arrangement of a Red Hot Chili Peppers song. Yeah, I have to say that it gives me a fresh way of seeing jazz and seeing how can I improvise over this rock tune, over this pop tune, which spaces I can use to improvise, how can I arrange this song for solo, trio, duo, whatever context I want to arrange it for. I'm not a self-taught musician. I studied in music schools, conservatories. I started studying music and jazz in Rome, but then I decided to move to Holland, actually. So I lived there almost 5 years, and I attended the bachelor course of the Rotterdam Conservatory, which is called Codars. Then I went back to Italy and I studied in Siena Jazz, where I did my master degree. So I'm not a self-taught musician. I always studied in schools. They were really helpful for me. I think they are helpful in general for musicians. One of the most important things I would say that is the connection with other musicians, also networking, with other people that can become great friends, great colleagues in music, So conservatories really help in that. There are some downsides of music schools, of course, but I would say that the positive aspects are really a lot. There were many instruments that inspire me, of course. We, as guitar players, we want to be piano players, and we try to be as pianistic as possible. So I would say that piano was always a great influence for me. And transcribing piano players, it's really hard actually, because you always have to adapt what they're playing to the instrument, because of course it's not possible. They have two hands. We have 4 fingers to do what they do with 10 fingers with 2 hands, so it's not possible. But it gives you a nice view of your instrument. It gives you new possibilities of comping or improvising. Horn players are of course really important for jazz players. Their way of constructing lines, melodic lines, and also their way of breathing, because as guitar players, piano players, we don't need to breathe, and sometimes we can play a music sentence for like, I don't know, 2 minutes and never stopping, which is something really that gets really heavy for the audience as well. So we have to learn to breathe, to stop, to use the rest, and in the right moment, Singers are really important. So vocalists are really important because they are masters in spelling the melody of the song. They are masters of interpretation, because basically that's their job. That's what they have to do in the song, to tell a story, in order to tell a story. So I would say these instruments for me were really inspiring. There are many things I would like to do in music. Let's start from this fact. I'm always really curious. I'm a curious person, so I would like to do so many things, but of course I cannot always do them all. I would like to do a record in duo. I'm still thinking about it. I have some ideas. I really like the duo lineup, but I would do so many different duo recordings. I would like to do a duo recording with a vocalist. I would like to do a guitar duo. I would like to do guitar and piano duo. I would like to do guitar and sax. Maybe it's my next record or something. Maybe I can do a record with duo lineups. I have my own trio to which I bring original music. I already with this trio we've done my latest record, and probably we're gonna do another one. Let's see. I'm still in the process of writing and thinking about these possibilities. I would teach improvisation, and I teach improvisation when I do that with some students of mine. in the way I was taught and in the way I understood music, in the way I think about music. So there are really important things for me, which I try to bring to other people. As I said, improvisation is something you really need to practice. You need to study deeply and daily. And there were some teachers of mine with which I just studied improvisation, especially in my master degree in Siena, which is a school that really considers improvisation and also free jazz and free improvisations, basically. So that really helped me, and I have to say it's really hard to improvise sometimes because maybe you don't have many ideas. So you have to refresh that and start from a new point and see a new angle of improvisation. So I would say that I would teach it this way, the way I was taught. Music is always teaching you something, and there are many things you can learn from music, actually, which you can basically apply in your life. Because if you're a person which doesn't have discipline, I think you cannot play music. You need discipline, you need organization. So music can change you, and of course life can also change music, you know. So as I said, music and life are always connected, or always intertwined, and they always go together, always. So that's basically my way of seeing it.